Hey guys, Guy here. Welcome. It is Tuesday, and this is live on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and the podcast feed. Great to have you. Now, coming out of such a heartbreaking loss for the 49ers on Sunday, the second monumental regular season loss, the second time this year they've lost a 10-point lead to a team who's not winning a championship. And you start to think, is there anything good? Is there anything positive? And the answer is yes. There's something great, actually. Through the first several weeks of the season, up until this last Sunday, not once did Brandon Aiyuk finish, you ready for this, in the top 30 of the leading receivers of the weekend. He spent a lot of the offseason acting like a superstar receiver, but he spent week 1, 2, 3, and 4 not. Top 30. Week 1, no. Week 2, no. Week 3, no. Week 4, no. Week 5, yes. The leading receivers in week 5 of the NFL season were Jamar Chase, 10 catches for 193 yards. Drake London on Thursday Night Football, 12 catches for 154 yards. And Brandon Aiyuk, 8 catches for 147 yards. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's significant about that. When you go back and watch him, and I went back and watched all of his catches today and some of his incompletions. He was targeted on a ball. I think probably catch 9 came on the ball that was a ball that was batted down at the line of scrimmage. But when you go back and look and watch him play, what you see is a guy making it look easy. And I know I've said it, many others have said it. He's not a Jamar Chase type player, right? This is not Odell Beckham in his prime. But before the first 4 weeks of the season, there were certainly debates about whether or not he was worth big time receiver money. But what's not debatable is that he was a top 10 receiver. And he not only produced on Sunday, but he did it looking really good. And I think right now there's two types of people. There are people who think this is the Niners' last shot, and there's people that think it's not, that because they have a young ascending quarterback, their window is more open than the people who think this is their last shot think it is. Now, you know that even though I still love a good Brock Purdy debate, I think that the trajectory that he's on puts them in a place where they don't look at this year as, the last dance. I don't look at this year as the last dance for them. And this is not about passing on this year. They got work to do. Go beat the Seahawks on Thursday, be in first place in the NFC West. This division leaves a lot to be desired. Maybe you get McCaffrey back at some point. Maybe you don't. You shouldn't have to get McCaffrey back to go win a couple of playoff games. Maybe the defense gets a little bit better. You would love to find a second back. Garendo was better this week than he was the week before. I'm still waiting to see him hit a big hole and then display some explosion. I wonder if Jordan Mason's lost, the second fumble of the season, the other one he didn't lose, give Kyle Shanahan any hesitation, but the reality is Kyle doesn't really have a choice. Jake Moody's out. So there's all these other things that are working against them, but there's some things working for them. And so if you don't think that this is the last dance for the 49ers, then beyond just winning games this year and trying to win a Super Bowl this year, which is the year we're focused on, the next most important thing is the quarterback proving to be a franchise quarterback. And what really cripples you is if the players that you pay like pillars of your franchise don't turn out to be pillars of your franchise. And the 49ers paid Brandon Aiyuk and Nick Bosa like pillars of their franchise. Those are the two biggest contracts that stretch the longest into the future. And what you need is for Brandon Aiyuk to turn back into that guy. And Saturday or Sunday, he looked like that guy. He looked like that guy, which is what they need, especially the way that Kyle Shanahan's throwing the football right now. It surprised me when I looked today that the 49ers pass percentage on first and second down is lower than it was last year because it feels like they're throwing the ball so much. But I'll tell you what I did look up before I get to another point on Aiyuk. As it relates to Kyle Shanahan in this offense, I went back the last 2 years of 49ers games, every single game they've played, in which they've had at least a 10-point lead. Okay. So not counting this year, but 2022, including the playoffs, 2023, including the playoffs, they've run over 1,000 plays, almost 1,200 plays, almost 1,100 plays, up by 10. In the last 2 years, they have passed the ball 41% of the time when they're up by 10. This year, they've passed the ball 45% of the time when they're up by 10. Is that significant? I don't know. I went hunting for something. I'm not sure if I found it. They are throwing the ball more by percentage when up by 10 this year than they did the last 2 years combined. Is it a negligible percentage? I'm not sure. Something to watch for. But anyway, if they're going to throw it more, then they definitely need Aiyuk. It's a shame. Somebody made the comment earlier. They've wasted two of the best. The week that Juwan Jennings had against the Rams was the best week in the league that week for a receiver. And now this is a number 3 performance of the week, and they lose that game too. So that sucks. But again, there is a big picture thing here where you don't want to get to the midway point. You certainly don't want to get to the end of the season going, all right, we're counting on this guy to step up because maybe Deebo Samuel's not going to be back in 2025. And we need him to do it. You miss on draft picks, that hurts. You miss on free agents, that hurts. What hurts the most is when you commit big draft capital and you miss, which was what happened with Trey Lance. Somehow they survived it. Or you commit big free agency capital and you miss. Javon Hargrave plugged a hole, but an overpay, but whatever. But what really tanks you is when you pay guys that you think are going to be in their prime, guys that you are paying for their upcoming prime, and they don't turn into those players. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk's been on this team for a while now, so maybe it doesn't feel this way, but think about this. Of all their build core players on offense, let's use that word, the only ones that are younger than Brandon Aiyuk are Brock Purdy, Dominic Pooney, Jordan Mason. That's the whole list. Core offense, guys that you think are going to be on the now, not counting the rookies, right? So maybe counting, I don't know, Pearsall, I don't know, we'll see. But of the guys that have already proven like, okay, we're part of the future here. Mason, Purdy, Pooney. Those are the only ones on offense that are younger than Brandon Aiyuk. On defense, like who is that defensive core? Lenore, yes. He's younger than Aiyuk. Hufanga, surprisingly younger than Aiyuk. Jair Brown, core. I mean, right now, yeah. Is he getting a second contract? We'll see. But younger. D Winters, core. I have to say no right now. And then the rookies. Like, those are the only guys on this team that have established any future role that are younger than Brandon Aiyuk. And then Bosa's a little bit older than Aiyuk, but still young. So that's the whole thing. Like, that's it. This guy has to be good. And the faster he's good, the better. Because, Deebo, we know that Kyle still goes to him. He did it 2 weeks ago when they're backed against the wall. And he's going to do it again. They'll be in situations again where Deebo Samuel's getting carries and all that. But if Kyle aspires to throw it more, and without McCaffrey right now, you got to find other ways. And as much as I don't love throwing it more up 10, you do understand, okay, all right, guy, don't suck out of both sides of your mouth. You also asked for Jordan Mason to carry the ball less. So what are you going to do? Give more carries to Isaac Guerrero? Maybe. Okay. You'd love to be able to rely on him a little bit. But outside of Brock and Bosa, you might put like the reason I was for re-signing Aiyuk is because he's so important to Brock Purdy. When you throw with the level of anticipation, you got to have a guy. I'm telling you, go back and watch. If you just go watch the Aiyuk plays, he's open. And here's the other thing. And he was looking for Yak. Here's the other thing. Now, that you're not going to get 8 for 147 every week. We know this, right? But at 18 yards per catch and nothing really outside of the ordinary. There was nothing that happened. There was no individual Aiyuk play that you went, oh, that's an aberration. That was lucky or that was weird or whatever. There wasn't some tip ball that he took 60 yards that screwed up the whole. Like, he was getting chunk play after chunk play. I thought one of the more impressive plays was kind of deep in their own territory, 3rd and 11. Purdy kind of swing out on a check down, an essential check down to Aiyuk, and he takes it for a first down. So he was aggressive as a runner. But I say all that because I think you look back at last year, the year that got him paid ultimately. Last year, 105 catches, over 1,300 yards, 17.9 yards per catch, which feels like I've said it, like you can't duplicate that, right? Like you're going to pay him, he'll be a good player, but he's not going to have 18 yards per catch. Well, he had 18 yards per catch on Sunday. So that was 2023 Brandon Aiyuk. And, I expect them to play well. I think Seattle's got, as they've always had, some of this like believes in themselves beyond their capabilities, and it makes them dangerous. Did you see the play, the Jackson Smith in Jigba play? He's sharp. If you didn't see the play, he is running down the field with two defenders on his back, and he pretends like the way a shortstop pretends to get a throw when the ball goes over his head and tags to get the guy to slide, going from first to keep him from going first to third. Geno Smith has tucked it and is running up their back, but Jackson Smith and Jigba's taking the defenders away by running and over the shoulder. By the way, baseball, Major League Baseball playoffs. How great is that? I love all of this. Every fan I know is super into 14 inches of break. They love knowing how much break is on somebody's sweeper. That's what baseball needs to capture the next generation. I can't tell you how many bar stools I've sat on where someone's like, did you hear how much break Walker Buehler has on his sweeper? Like, yeah, everybody's talking about it. Oh, Google Analytics, guys. SAP or whatever. Big news. Goes first to third and 7% of the time that everybody else does. It's really incredible stuff. Win Thursday. Get back to 500. Settle it down. And then start acting like a championship team. And it's good to see that Brandon Aiyuk maybe he's snapped out of it. I don't know if there's anything to snap out of. He just needs to get up to speed. He got up to speed. He looked fast. He was open. All this talk about whether or not Brandon Aiyuk's creating separation. He created a lot of separation. Yeah, I loved it. He looked dynamic. So that was great. For those of you who caught the video-only live stream on Tuesday, post Robert Saleh firing, the update from Mike Silver, he wrote this. As to the question Niner fans are asking, Robert Saleh plans to regroup, go on vacation with his family. What is it, 9 kids, 8 kids? Prepare for the next hiring cycle when he should be in demand as a defensive coordinator. He has no plans to join anyone's staff during the 2024 season, should an opportunity arise. We'll see. What's unique about this, it's not weird for guys to join staffs midstream. It is unusual for it to happen in October, but it'd be fun. For those of you who didn't see the live stream or maybe you're a podcast only listener, I am pro. I hate this opinion which I hold because it's like the most easiest casual opinion to have. But yeah, I would call Robert Saleh. If you can add brain power, I would add brain power. Kyle Shanahan texted him, whether or not they bring him in. Basically, I would put the ball in Robert Saleh's court. Robert, you want to be here? Great. We'd love to have you. If I were Robert, I would hang out. Like I wouldn't rush to go coach the 49ers, but if I were the Niners, I would at least put the ball in his court. Jeff Ulbrich, who the Niners tried to hire, is now the interim head coach of the Jets. So he may be available too. Like, this idea, if it doesn't go well this year for Nick Sorensen, yeah, Robert Saleh's out there. So is Jeff Ulbrich at the end of the year. Now, maybe Robert becomes a DC, and that means that Jeff Ulbrich can't go with him. Maybe Jeff Ulbrich wins a bunch of games in New York, and Aaron Rodgers says, I want him as my coach. Boy, Robert Saleh, very positive guy. Aaron Rodgers, energy vampire, able to steal the juice from Robert Saleh. It's too bad. This is a first, I think. Someone tell me if I'm wrong about this, but it's a first for the Shanahan era, right? Kyle's been around for a while, but his coaching tree has not really been fired yet. McVay's got his job. Mike McDaniel's got his job. We'll see what happens there. D'Amico's got his job. LaFleur's got his job. Kind of the tertiary, the secondary, tertiary parts of his tree. Kevin O'Connell, Kevin Stefanski, like these guys doing the Shanahan thing, they've got their jobs. So, it's a first to kind of see if a Shanahan guy loses his job, does he immediately come back to Kyle? Well, if Mike McDaniel were to get fired, let's just say, I'm just using Mike as an example, I would think an offensive coach is less likely to come back to Kyle because at the end of the day, Kyle's calling plays and you've had your taste of calling plays, right? So that guy might be more likely to go somewhere else, call plays for a year, and then become a head coach again, right? Something like that. But a defensive guy like Robert Saleh, you're going to go be a defensive coach. So then it just comes down to relationship. I mean, maybe it could be personnel, right? Maybe you look at Mike McDaniel and go, but do you, it's easy to say everybody's buddies when they all move on and I'm rooting for them, whatever. But when the opportunity comes to come back and work for him again, does he? Will be interesting to see. That'll be something to watch. Comment from James. Thanks for the super chat, James. Said, 11, Aiyuk, looked much better. Ethan Strauss pointed out that he broke more than 5 tackles last year. Looked more dangerous Sunday for yards after contact, not after catch. Yeah, I had a good chat with I spent 30 minutes on the phone with Ethan yesterday just talking Niners. I called him about something else. He texted me about something, so I called him, and he's like, you know what I would do if I were you? So I give him credit. He's like, I would talk about how positive Brandon Aiyuk's performance was. That would be a good video. I'm like, you know what? You're right. That would be a good. I do like that topic, Ethan. So I'm not. He didn't ask for credit on it, but it's legitimate take. It is legitimate take, and I think it's supported by the facts. So thank you for the comment and the super chat there, James. When does Brandon Staley get fired? Not at all. He doesn't get. He's like, you're not firing consultants unless there are problems. And for those of you who go to Niner games, their next home game, you'll want some Puesto. You'll want to grab some Puesto, get in your seat, and then just watch what happens. A lot of you know this. I mention it because the people who have watched or listened to the show for a while say, "Guy, don't hide your other life from us." So I won't. But in my television job, calling college football games every week. Last week, USC Minnesota was awesome. This week, I'll be at the Rose Bowl calling Minnesota at UCLA on Big Ten Network. That'll be Saturday at 4:00 Pacific. So if you want to watch, if you're like, is this guy seriously? You do TV? Let's give it a shot. But my favorite thing to do is if, let's say, the game's at 6 or 4. Let's say the game's at 4, which this one is. Probably around 2:30, I'm going to go down onto the field. And I just walk around and I talk to whoever I can find. I talk to some of the coaches. I talk to the quarterback. I talk to the kicker. I talk to a referee. I see an athletics director. I just talk. I just walk around and I just chat with people. And I would say this, if most of you probably you won't be able to go down on the field a Niner game, but go early and get in your seat and just watch what happens. And what you're going to see is Kyle Shanahan spending time with Brandon Staley on the field before the game, just chatting. You're going to see that. So just watch for it. That type of job is not one that gets you, that you don't get fired. You're there on standby, maybe. So no, I don't think that any of that Brandon's. What I would love, Brandon, I don't know what Brandon's doing. I'd give Brandon Staley a little project, a little assignment if I were Kyle Shanahan, and I'd say, hey, should we run some slants in the red zone or something? Like, can you scout our red zone offense and tell us what we should do? That'd be fantastic. That would really be helpful. I'd really appreciate that. I'd love to see that. It is the time of the show where I do a prize pick segment. Most of the shows, not all. We go to prizepicks.com together. We use the code GUY, G-U-Y. And when you do that, you can also click on the link in the description that is dedicated to Prize Picks. When you do that, you get $50 into your account as soon as you make a lineup. A lineup is just picking 2 or more players, you go more or less, and off you go. When you do that, you don't even have to wait to win or lose it. As soon as you do that, you're going to get $50 directly into your account. So you go to prizepicks.com or you just download the Prize Picks app. You use the code GUY. Appreciate that very much. And what shall we do? Should we dive into it right now? Let's dive into it right now. Okay. So, we got Thursday night football. So I always do this on the Niners. I've always got something going on Brock. And I'm going to get something going on Brock here. Here we go. What do I like? Brock Purdy. Look at all these choices we have on Brock Purdy. Passing touchdowns, rushing yards, rushing attempts, interceptions. I think the ball's going to come out pretty quick this week. I think that'll be a coaching point for Brock Purdy. Pass attempts. Personally, I love a Brock Purdy rushing yards. I love a Brock Purdy passing yards. So I'm going to go more than 252 passing yards for Brock Purdy. I'm also I saw there was a free, let's see, there's this Taco Tuesday pick still in here. No, maybe it's not. I'm going to go less than 253 on Geno because that just makes it fun. I love that. And then let's go look at DK Metcalf because, this is, I know that, Mooney Ward, it's been a little questioning of Mooney Ward. This is a good matchup. Mooney likes this matchup. So I can go in here and I can change this DK pick. I can make it easy, more than 49.5, or I can make it harder, more than 89.5. But I don't want to do either one of those things. I want to go less than 66.5 on DK. So I'm going to finalize this lineup. I'm going to say, do I want to hedge a little or do I want to go bigger? I'm going to say I want to go bigger. And that's what we're going to do. All right. So there we go. The $50 pays $225. Now I'm going to protect myself, I think, as soon as this loads. I'm going to protect myself against the Brock Purdy more than passing yards by going to Jordan Mason and getting a little Jordan Mason kind of more than here. Whoop. So let's go Jordan Mason. I can also make this tougher. I can make it easy, or I can go bigger. Okay, I'm going to go more than 83.5 rushing yards for Jordan Mason. I'm going to go less than 229.5. I've been into the Jaden Daniels experience, but they're playing the Ravens this week. So I'm going to go less than on that. And what else do I like here? Let's see. Ooh, Kenneth Walker. I'm going to go more than 58.5 rushing yards for Kenneth Walker against the 49ers. So again, I can go 20 for 100. I can hedge a little bit. Let's do this one a little different. Let's hedge this one. So it's 50. It's going to win 112, but I only need to get 2 out of 3 correct. I can also get 3 correct and I get a little more. So there we go. That's how quick you can make 2 lineups. It's fast. It's easy. It's fun. And now I'm locked in. Now I care a little bit more about what Jaden Daniels is doing. Now I'm secretly win the game, Niners, but wouldn't mind 59 rushing yards for Kenneth Walker the third. And there you go. You can do whatever you want there. There's so many more to pick from. Like I said, some of these picks you can dive into and you can make them more challenging to up the ante and help your odds. You know what I didn't do in this one? I didn't do, I could make a bonus. Let's see. Only if the Niners, no, I'll look a little later in the week to see if the Niners' new kicker is in this, whatever that guy's name, Clay Walker, the country singer, whatever that guy's name is. I don't know. He won a kicking competition. Oh, great. On a Tuesday in Santa Clara. Well, that'll translate well. All right. So there you go. Ian says Ward usually does well against DK, but this season he's not right. All right. Well, lot of agreement on that. Ward used to lock down Metcalf. Not so sure this time. Sway. I have a feeling DK is going to torch Ward. Oh, wow. Real Deal says Ward has a knee issue. No guarantees. All right. So it's you guys against me. You come back here after the game on Thursday night and you tell me either you're going to be dancing or I'm going to be dancing about that one. I guess some of you guys don't want to see it, but I don't know if you'd rather be right or not, but We'll all find out together. I'll probably make a couple more lineups, honestly, before then. But Prize Picks, use the code guy, link in the description. Code guy, make a lineup, $5. That's all you got to put in, and you get 50 in your account right away. That's great. James says, I locked in on a Garendo touchdown. That's a fun one. You know what? That's kind of interesting because he's obviously not McCaffrey. After the Mason fumble in the red zone, and you're looking for ways to spice things up in the red zone, could you go Garendo as a pass catcher? Could you go Garendo as a pass catcher in the red zone and just try to create a little of the McCaffrey thing? I like that idea. I'm going to go back and check in on that. I just got to spell Garendo right. But I'm going to go check in on that. That's a good little thought because they obviously got to find something to do in the red zone. More Debo, more creativity in the red zone. You know, I mean, I'm watching Sunday Night Football going, the Cowboys figured it out. The Cowboys, I bag on Mike McCarthy to a point. Like, I think he's a good coach, but, you know, I just talk about how much Kyle's better than him. And then McCarthy gets his team all the way down to get a game-winning touchdown at the end of the game with some creative stuff. You know, the Chiefs, like, one of the reasons the Chiefs are the biggest reason the Chiefs are undefeated right now is Steve Spagnuolo again. He's back at it. But what did they do? They needed to score. They got down the red zone. They got creative. Direct snap to Kelsey, handed off to Xavier Worthy, and scored a touchdown. So, you know, a little more creativity other than Debo sweeps and bubble screens, I guess, would probably be a step in the right direction. So, all right. Well, I guess, you know, Mike Silver told us don't hold our breath on Robert Saleh. So we won't hold our breath on Robert Saleh, but I feel good about Thursday. It'll be a fun night. I'll be at the we've got a really nice hotel in LA. Going to be in LA on Thursday night because I'm going to UCLA football practice on Friday morning. But we will be live from that very, very nice hotel in LA on Thursday night. I would expect the internet's going to be good. And we'll be talking about whatever the hell that game is when it arrives. Let's see. Do I have anything? I feel like I had something else for you guys, but that's that. Let's check this. Let's get a 10-point lead, Kyle, and run the football. Kansas City's 30th in the red zone. Oh, well, like I said, Spagnuolo, that guy's the difference right now. Their defense, man. I don't know. Has anyone made this connection that what the Cardinals did to Brock on the last play of the game? He threw the interception was Spagnuolo did to him in the Super Bowl. Brought an extra rusher than they could block and forced him to throw the ball before he was ready to. It was the Spagnuolo move. And, you know, the problem with it is that the Niners were in hurry up. They were moving in 2 minutes. So there were 30 seconds on the play clock when the Niners snapped that ball. And you would love in the helmet communication. I don't know if Brock didn't see the guy sneaking up. But you would love in helmet communication to not have to snap that ball so fast and for Shanahan to say, hey, hold on. Look at what's happening here. You know, this ball's got to come out hot. It's got to be hotter. It was hot. Kittle was open. Maybe he knew it was hot. It looks to me like he never sees the guy at all. Doesn't know he's coming. Doesn't see him break through. And, you know, in a hurry-up spot, the advantage of the defense is you got to go. And you can't stay around for the head coach to tell you what's up. But anyway. All right. On that note, that's all for tonight. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Aiyuk's got to keep it going.